Hey guys, welcome back to Tuesdays with Danielle. We have a brand new time for you guys. I have been saying for a while now that we were going to change the time, and we're finally doing it. You guys requested an earlier time before school pickup because it's hard for you guys after you're driving around and dropping kids off and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully this time works well for everybody. I'm hoping that it's kind of in between like the half day kindergarten pickup for all of the moms out there before regular school pickup, and then before or after preschool pickup. I'm like trying to think of all my time zones here. Anyhow, I will be here Tuesdays, 10 a.m. It actually works better for me too because it starts to get crazy after school for me, and we've had baseball and I've had to miss you guys quite a few times. So I thought, all right, it's time to change. So I am making my dairy-free vanilla coffee creamer for you. I use it pretty much every morning in my cup of coffee. It's one of my favorite things. I've talked a lot about this, but I can't tolerate all of the gums that are in your packaged store-bought type creamers. So guar gum, sometimes xanthan gum, although that's not as frequent in dairy-free kind of creamer alternatives. But there's locust bean gum, there's so many. There's like 5 different gums that could be in store-bought things, and that just helps keep it, first of all, it helps make it last a lot longer. If you buy some of those, you notice that you can keep them on your pantry shelf for months and months and in the fridge for weeks and weeks. And unfortunately, when you do make it homemade, it only lasts for about a week, but you can freeze it. And then also, I just make a smaller batch. So because I'm really the only kind of like creamer coffee drinker in my household, I've been starting to make either a half or even just a quarter batch of this so that I don't end up wasting any. If we have company, I'll make a bigger batch. But so we started with, and you guys, I'll post the link for the recipe afterwards. So just make sure that you check the comments on Facebook, and then I'll do a swipe up on Instagram. But I have my cashews that I have been soaking. So you want raw cashews. Definitely make sure that they're fresh, and then soak them in hot water. And then I'm just gonna drain those off. So there's a couple reasons why we soak cashews. Number one is because it helps them blend a lot easier. And then number two, with any nuts, it's helpful to drain, or to, not drain them, to soak them because it helps to remove the outer, I just always say it easier to say just outer coating that is harder to digest. Cashews are not as necessary just because they don't have that like outer skin, and they already are broken out of a seed, so they're kind of already the interior part, but it still helps to soak them. I'm gonna back up really quick just to remind you guys that we're live, so you can shout out your questions in the comments and I'll answer them as we go. I also have a couple of pitted Midgel dates in there just to sweeten this up a little bit, and you can really decide depending on how sweet you like your creamer. I just have 2 kind of medium-sized ones in there, but you can go up or down depending on if you want it sweeter.
So we do have a few questions,
Great.
but first off, we have lots of people saying that this time is great for them.
Yay, good.
So that's good.
Good.
We have some people on Instagram wondering, first, why do companies put so many gums in their products? And then also, why are they bad?
Well, okay, so why do they put so many gums? It's kind of just what I mentioned, just about being able to keep it from clumping up, so that it can make it last longer. They're kind of used as a preservative. And so that's really why they put it in there. And then in terms of why they're bad, it just depends, but they're difficult to digest for a lot of people. So even the coconut milk, that has guar gum in it, like we notice a little bit of bloating. Specifically with all of those different, packaged creamer options, I notice just stomach upset, like within a day or so. So that's why they're bad for me. Some people, they're fine and you can totally tolerate them. But yeah, I mean, it's some of those are legume based, and so I think that can be why personally. And then also some of those are grown or made, depending on what gum it is, but are grown or made on like a bacteria. And sometimes, especially with xanthan gum, it can often be grown on a wheat, like wheat bread. That's not like what they're doing in the science labs, but sometimes there can be some cross-contamination because of that, and I think that's another reason why some people have difficulty with it. All right, so I've got my cashews, I have my dates. I'm going to add 2 cups of fresh filtered water. I have like a reverse osmosis system in our sink, but this one is one that I think if you can't install something like that, I'll give you a link for this. It filters out the most from any like refrigerator filter pitcher that I've seen. So I'll, you guys always ask about that when I'm using it, so I'll definitely make sure to give that to you. Okay, I'm gonna pop this on and blend it up really well.
We have some questions about the cashews.
Yes.
People are wondering, do they need to be raw?
Yes.
Do you have a preferred brand?
Yeah, so they should be raw, unsalted, unroasted, mostly just for the flavor, but then also so you're not getting any extra like oils or anything in there. I like nuts.com, and then I really like Terrasol. Those are like two brands that I like. Anytime you're wondering, by the way, about what my favorites are, againstallgrain.com/shop, you can find any and all products that I use. And yeah, anything, like if you're ever just wondering like what my favorite brand is, because it's really hard to pick between all of the different ones that there are. Okay, I'm gonna turn this on for just a minute. It's gonna get really loud. To be fully blended. It'll get really thick and creamy. And for this, so the nice thing about cashew milk normally is you don't actually have to strain out the pulp like you do when you're making almond milk. But for coffee, I have found that I like it better when I do strain out some of the kind of more solid matter. I just feel like it makes the coffee a little bit more gritty when you don't. And then also it congeals a little bit. And so I like to just kind of strain it out. So we're gonna strain out the cashew, and then we're going to add coconut milk. And the reason I like to do that, because the coconut milk adds a little bit of thickness to it. It adds a little bit of kind of like natural sweetness. And then it also, sorry, just thinking here, hold on. I wanna make sure you guys can see everything. It also helps to incorporate it into your coffee a little bit better. Coconut milk just blends a little easier in your coffee and doesn't congeal. So adding the coconut milk kind of helps to make your coffee a little smoother, which is what I like.
So we have some people wondering how long this keeps in the fridge.
So typically, and then we were actually just talking about this before, I was going through some of the comments on the blog post with the recipe, and we have had this happen as well. But if all your equipment isn't super clean, like sterilized, I would put it in a really hot dishwasher. And then if your cashews are at all like old, we've had some people say that it almost has like fermented and gotten sour in the fridge, which I have had happen with cashew yogurt as well. And I just found that it was because my jars weren't as clean, and then the cashews were just older. So all that to say is, if your cashews are fresh, if you open a fresh can of coconut milk and you're using clean jars, about a week is what I've noticed in my fridge.
Okay, and we also have
just milking my
the
udder here.
Question: Vitamix or Blendtec?
Always. Oh man, you guys, I still haven't decided. Vitamix for the beautifulness, like this copper is just so pretty. I think I'm just trying to weigh it all out. I had a Blendtec for years, like 10 years, and really liked it, but it was really, really loud. That was one of the things I didn't love about it. But I loved the square pitcher that didn't have a bunch of grooves, because I didn't feel like you lost as much of everything. I don't know. Honestly, I think they're both really great. I don't know that I can like fully decide. I know that's not helpful. If I had to pick, I would probably pick this one.
So we also have some people saying that they have some autoimmune diseases, and they notice that cashews flare them up a bit. So is there a different kind of nut that they can use instead? And if so, what would that be?
Yeah, I would do almond and just strain it out through that bag so that you're not getting the skins in there. But yeah, I mean, and then also you could change this up and change your flavor a lot. You could do hazelnut, which would be like really nice for the holidays and kind of have a hazelnut creamer. You could do macadamia nuts. Taste like you're back in Hawaii. You could, really any nut, honestly. I've had pecan nut milk before at a coffee shop it was interesting. I wouldn't say it was like my favorite flavor, but you could do that as well. Okay, so I put a pinch of salt in there, and then I'm gonna just do about a 1/4 cup of coconut milk. And you noticed when this was blending, I had this sitting in a bowl of boiling water. And if you watched my most recent whipped cream video, the reason for that is because even if your can's not cold, a lot of times you'll get this fat layer up on the top and the liquid, kind of the coconut water down at the bottom. And so if you put it in a bowl of hot water, it'll help to melt some of that fat, and then you can just shake it up really well, because you want everything. You want like the milk or the water and the cream to make coconut milk in your creamer here. Okay, so the last thing is a vanilla bean. And I'm just gonna use half because we're just kind of having this recipe. So for a vanilla bean, you can get, because they're really expensive right now, you can totally use vanilla extract, but it just gives it a bit of a different flavor just because vanilla extracts are alcohol based. It's fine, it tastes fine, but I definitely like the fresh vanilla bean better. You can also buy vanilla bean powder, which is just gonna be like the seeds that are dried out in here, and that is usually cheaper, but just double check your ingredients when you're buying it on like Amazon, or if you're getting it at a grocery store, because sometimes they add some extra stuff to that, so take a look. But we order vanilla beans online and they last for a really long time, so that's kind of, if you can get it in bulk on Amazon, that is a good way to go if you're going to be making this a lot. So I'm just going to scrape all the little black seeds out of the pod.
We have somebody on Facebook just wanting to clarify, was that a reusable cheesecloth nut bag?
It's a nut bag. Sorry, I'm laughing because my sister thinks it's really funny to call it a nut sack, which is really inappropriate. But yes, it's a nut milk bag. It's reusable. You just flip it inside out after you're done and wash it out, and you can throw it in the washing machine, which is great. So, but otherwise cheesecloth works really great. For straining nut milk, mesh strainer just doesn't quite do the trick. It's just too porous, and it lets through a lot of the nut pulp. So you definitely want to do cheesecloth or one of those bags. Those bags are really cheap. They're like $5 on Amazon. Alrighty, so that is it for that. Let me just pop this lid back on and blend all of our coconut milk and our creamer. And the thing about this is, if you notice that it's too thick, you can just add a little water or a little extra coconut milk, or if it's too thin, you can just pop a couple extra cashews in there, just depending on what you like for your coffee creamer. All right, so I'm gonna pour this into a jar, but for everybody who's still with us, I wanted to give you guys a chance to win a copy of Eat What You Love, and we'll pick a winner tomorrow. But we are currently, which if you've been hanging out for the last few weeks, you know that we are doing a cookbook club, kind of like a book club, but it's a virtual cookbook club where you're using Eat What You Love, and every time you make something from the book, taking a photo of that dish with the cookbook cover in it and posting it to your Instagram, or if you want on your Facebook. Not stories, needs to be on your feed, and there's some rules you can go look at the May giveaway on my Instagram highlight. But I know that there's some people who don't have a book yet, and so I really want you to still be able to join in on the cookbook club. So I'll give one away on Facebook, one away on Instagram, and here's how to enter. So for Facebook, just leave a comment on this post and tag a friend, and then let me know what you want to make most from the book. Instagram, go back to my feed and leave a comment tagging a friend and telling me what you want to make, kind of the same thing, on any of my last 3 feed posts on Instagram. So just go to Danielle Walker, any of the top 3 up at the top of my feed, you can comment and do that on there, and we'll go and pick a winner from there. Also, you guys, if you want to participate in Cookbook Club, you can go and check this out at your local library and use it and make a recipe. So the prizes are really awesome. You're going to win all 4 of my cookbooks signed, and then we have a Staub Coquette, like kind of Dutch oven type pot, and one of my favorite knives, and 3 people get that package. So it would be worth your time to go down and grab this from the library and make something and post it to your feed, because you would end up getting this if you won, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. So again, if you joined us late or you're just tuning in now, I want to give you a chance to win my new book, Eat What You Love. Instagram, any of my last 3 posts on my feed, comment, tag a friend, tell me what you want to make from that book. Facebook, just on this post, comment, tag a friend, and tell me what you want to make. So that is it. If you guys make this week, post it and tag me at Danielle Walker, and then hashtag Against All Grain or hashtag Danielle Walker, so I can see it and see you enjoying it in your coffee. By the way, this froths really well as well. But I think the number 1 tip is making sure that you've got clean jars to put it in. Okay, see you guys later. Bye.